Chairman.
Brendan Horan.
I rise to take a call on this part 2 of the Maritime Legislation Bill. Part 2 amends the Exclusive Economic Zone and the Continental Shelf Environmental Effects Act 2012. And, sir, as I observed in the debate on Part 1 of the bill, for the initial stages of its progress through the House, the bill was not too controversial. There was unanimous support for the first reading. In the debate at the time, however, I took a call and I said that the support I voiced was with some reservations. And in Part 2, we have an SOP from the Minister with amendments, an SOP released in August, well after the Select Committee reported. The amendments in SOP 347, sir, have two significant problems. The first is the provisions for emergency dumping, and that is emergency dumping of waste at sea in the exclusive economic zone beyond the continental shelf. The second is the proposal to create a fourth category of activity, the category of non-notified activities. So let's talk about or briefly peruse some of these. Emergency dumping of waste, or actually so-called dumping of waste. What is emergency dumping of waste? And what could that waste be? What might it entail? Could it be fish? Could it be radioactive material? Sir, there is nothing so permanent as a temporary provision of a brief emergency, and it certainly opens the gate to all sorts of dumping. So with these provisions, National are opening up our oceans to dumping. I turn to the new definition of non-notified activity. Up till now, the exclusive economic zone, Mr. Chair, has had three types of activity within that legislation. That is permitted, which is things that can be done, prohibited, which are things that cannot be done, and discretionary, which are things that can be done in some circumstances. But now this government is bringing in, at the last minute, a fourth category, the non-notified activity. And, sir, in Supplementary Order Paper 347, we learned that this is to be a discretionary activity which will not, and I repeat that, not be publicly notified. So, sir, this has a certain stench about it. And to fully understand, we have to consider the Minister's consultation document, which reveals that only one category of activity is to be non-notified, and that is the activity of exploratory offshore drilling. So, sir, one immediately thinks of disgusting, despicable backyard deals that this government is so proud of doing, and even at the moment, sir, with regards to the Rena and the small hapu from Motiti Island that are fighting for the removal of the complete removal of the wreck of the Rena off Astrolabe Reef, this government has done a dirty backyard deal that if the Motiti hapu fail in getting the Rena off the rock, they get $10.4 million. This government has done a backyard deal against the people of New Zealand. And there's Mr. Williamson. Where was he? He was watching a test, I think, when the Rena grounded. Too lazy to get down there and get the oil off the Rena. No, but he's very happy to stand over there and make comments and throw comments at me. Unbelievable. Sir, what this government is doing is giving corporations a rubber stamp. Come over, get a rubber stamp, come to our oceans, our moana, obtain the rubber stamp off the National Party, and not be subject to any public consultation or input. And, I mean, what idiot in New Zealand would drill in 1,500 to 3,000 metres of water, sir, when, what's our rapid oil response unit? 3 8-metre aluminium dinghies. 3 8-metre aluminium dinghies. But this government is completely willing to put our entire coastline at risk for a few dollars. And it's interesting, I mean, you know, we saw on TV the Prime Minister going to church when he's openly stated that he's an atheist. And it's interesting that the Pope came out just yesterday and said how government's love of money is destroying families. And that is what's happening in New Zealand, sir. This government's grubby love of money.
A point of order.
Sir,
Point of order.
The member should stick to the bill, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, the member has strayed beyond part 2, but his time has expired.
Mr. Chair,
Marion Street.
Mr. Chair.
Honourable Marion Street.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I rise to speak to part 2 of the